you can try your best to fit in with the crowd, or you can just not give a fuck and be exactly who you are and just shove your way into the rooms you want to be in by being good at what you are. So I learned very early, and obviously I chose the second path, that like I'm not like other people. I don't think like other people necessarily, like the crowd necessarily. And not that the crowd is always wrong, but I'm never going to default to doing what everyone else does just because everyone else does it. And that has stuck with me my entire career.
Do you think one of the reasons for podcasts, just the explosion over the past 3, 4, 5, 6 years, is it because it's a lot of people leading the podcast and that come on as guests, maybe that they don't look normal?
I think that the reason podcasts have exploded is, one, deliverability, and two, a general sense that we can't trust the sources of information that we've trusted for our entire lives. So, and what it does is it gives us this menu of personalities and viewpoints that we can choose from at any given moment. And you could say, you know, I kind of want to go deep down on ancient civilizations for 4 hours, right? Like I'm going to pull up Rogan and listen to Graham Hancock, or
Globe Teke, whatever. What is that in Turkey? What is it?
Yeah, Göbekli Tepe. Yeah. Which I actually, you know, again, I think I said this at the beginning, whether it makes the show or not, we'll see. But like huge conspiracy theorist believer, and absolutely positively believe in that there was an ancient civilization that was destroyed by the Hunger Dryas impact. But all that being said, you know, another day you could say, hey, I want to go down the politics avenue and I'll listen to Patrick Bet-David, or, you know, I just want to kind of like nerd out and, you know, listen to something about space, or whatever you're looking for. There is a personality and a topic out there that you can integrate into your day while you're doing dishes or laundry or going for a walk or working out. And that access to high quality information that is kind of choose your own adventure. That's the beauty of podcasting and why I think it's really taken off.
Are we looking for the truth?
You know, I think I struggle with this idea of what the truth is. I hate the term lived truth. I hate when people use that term. I don't know why. I would love to have a conversation with someone who like owns that term, but I think
because the truth is this. So I'll frame this as you're thinking about it. In my world, until somebody shows me different, 2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about. The truth, like something that is definitely provable and you can work it out.
So that is exactly. So you just kind of hit on what my version of the truth is. What I've kind of come to is the truth is kind of like a snapshot in time, right? There are truths right now today as we believe them. And I think we should try as best we can to believe in the truth as it exists today, but we must be open-minded to the fact that that truth can change, right? Like, here's an example. Up until about 6 weeks ago, most people probably believe that USAID was doing good things around the world. What we learned today was it's a CIA front to do really crazy and horrible shit. So like the truth 6 weeks ago was different than the truth today. And where I think we struggle, particularly in our political class, is in being willing to say, based on new information, I'm going to change my mind, right? We become so attached to the opinion as a signal for who we are and our status and place in the world that we are completely unwilling to change our mind. And then that's why you see people who are willing to change their mind, like a Joe Rogan, not to keep bringing him up, but like he's willing and has on podcasts, listened to someone for 3 hours and at the end changed his mind about something. Take his move from being a Democrat to being, you know, voting Republican. Like that happened over a series of conversations with individuals that he gathered the information, processed it in his head, and he said, hey, 2 years ago, this is what I believe based on the information I have. 2 years later, here's why I am today and what my truth is. And I wish more people, and I wish for our society, because I think they just make for better conversations, is this. If you tell me something today and we were to do this show a year from now and you're like, you know what, I believe this now, me being willing to go, okay, Mark, that's cool, man.
Yep.
Instead of being like, oh, what's wrong with you? Changing your mind, you flip-flopper. Like, that's the bullshit.
What underpins it, you said, is the information's different. And so it goes back to the beginning of the conversation. Where do we get whatever the honesty of the information is, right? That's why podcasts have evolved, because there's not these silos or 2 or 3 or 4 people controlling the information that goes in our brain. And I think today, I grew up similar the way you did, but it's not to say who has it right from a religious perspective, but everybody's being faced now with different religions or being at your front step. Used to it was, did you go to the mosque? Did you go to the synagogue? Did you go to your church? You just listen to the people in your bubble. And so I even push this on people too. It's like, well, who's right? Because whatever the doctrine of the thing that we were taught, like if I was born in a Middle Eastern country that happens to be, Islamic, and my family was religious, I'd probably be Muslim.
Yeah.
Right. So this is really tough for people because it challenges everything that you've been taught, everything that you think, what the fundamental rules are. And it's almost like politics have become the new religion too. And it's like, what information are you putting into your brain so you can calculate and figure out what is the truth?
So I'm a devout Christian. I wear a cross. I have a CrossFit tattoo on my arm. And I was raised Catholic. I really struggle with Catholicism. I struggle with it. The pomp, the circumstance, the hierarchies. To me, that's not of God. So where I've tried to step back and take a broader view on this is like, I'll give you an example. This may sound crazy, but take it for what it is. So my mother is a very devout Christian, and she is very close to what you might call like a Bible purist. Like she goes by the word. Like she believes every word was handed to each one of the writers and written in the book, and each word is delivered as if from God's mouth. And I'm not. I think 60 different guys 300 years later put this book together. The book wasn't put together at one point in time. It was put together over a series of years, I think maybe even possibly 100 years. And there's been multiple iterations and changes and all these things. And then we're human and we're fallible. Like, so you're telling me that this book that is a conglomerate of articles written by all these different individuals who none of which we know for sure they weren't ghostwritten, copyright, etc. Right? We know their name is on it, etc. Okay. So we're saying that everything else we know about man is that they're fallible, except for the individuals who put these words in this book. Yet all of the individuals who wrote in the book all have these storied pasts where they did all this bad shit as well as good stuff. And it's like, but these words are absolutely what it is. Okay. So I take that back to say, when I started having these conversations with her, I said, okay, so my understanding, and anyone who's listening can correct me if I'm wrong, but Catholicism and Christianity really got to Japan like in the early 1800s. That's really when it got to the island. And so you're telling me, I said, every person who's born on the island of Japan prior to, let's just call it 1800, they're all fucked? God didn't give a shit about them. All those people for all those centuries, all those generations, he didn't, because they're not Christian, somehow they're all burning in hell. That's your argument to me. Like, that's not the God that I understand and know. So, okay. So let's pull it back to where we're trying to get to a point. I think religion and a relationship with God is incredibly important. How you choose to have that relationship is meaningless to me. I do struggle with some aspects of Islam, but I also don't understand it incredibly well. But to me, as long as you're living in the love that I think God either is, or as Jordan Peterson says, like if we act as if represents, right, then it's all good.
Yeah, the idea of.
Yes. The problem becomes, dude, to your point, is when we do not have a relationship with God in some way, shape, or form, there is something in our soul that yearns for that type of relationship. So things like woke, things like the hardcore right MAGA, although MAGA has kind of moved to the middle a little bit, but like that 2016 version of MAGA, right? Like it's on both sides. Like, things like white supremacy, all these different things, like they become their own religions in and of themselves. And it's why those individuals are so unshakable in their crazy fucking beliefs, is because they'll bang on people who believe in God, like woke atheists will bang on people who believe in God, yet they're literally living the same lifestyle and belief structures, just framed differently. And I really hope that over time and with great conversations like the one we're having here, although my mouth is moving a million miles an hour, so people can barely keep up, I'm sure.
So you think it's a doctrine of all these things that are banging up against each other?
Yeah, I think it's just we need to have some fucking perspective in our life. Like have a little bit of humility to say, maybe there's a chance all of your beliefs aren't 100% right. Maybe just a little bit of a chance. And if you can have that tiny bit of humility, then you can listen to someone else's argument. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but you can at least listen and understand where they're coming from.